This is Season 6, Episode 123 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
Sometimes the important thing is not the number of miles you've driven, but what's going on inside your head while driving. The Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast will stimulate your mind and keep you company while on the road. Join us for education, motivation, and inspiration from wherever you may be in our nation. You'll hear roundtable discussions about important information that's impacting our industry. Plus, you'll learn more about new technology, equipment, driving opportunities, safety, and operations. Get driver success and fitness tips to keep you profitable, safe, healthy, as well as entertaining stories from the road. And don't you know, we've all got a few of those. We might be traveling in different directions, but we're all part of one driver community at the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. With your host, Trucker Tim Cicciarelli.
Well, hello once again, friends. Tim Cicciarelli here, otherwise known as Trucker Tim, your host of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast, episode 123, here on Thanksgiving week. Coming up in this episode, we have another driver spotlight for you. We're going to talk to Jonathan Martinez. He's an independent contractor for Stevens Transport, and he's going to share his journey of becoming a truck driver with Stevens, highlighting the independence and business knowledge he's gained along the way. And he's going to be giving some of our drivers advice on saving money, making smart choices, and staying safe while out there on the road. That audio will be pulled from a video that you can find on our Stevens Transport YouTube channel. That's coming up. We're also going to be welcoming back our buddy Jim Adams to tell us about his new role at Stevens Transport, and a few other segments to keep you informed and entertained while you're out there on the road this Thanksgiving week. As most of us celebrate with our families around the table with a turkey or ham or whatever your choice of food is at Thanksgiving, and watching football while you are probably out there on the road. Now, Thanksgiving, of course, a time for gratitude, and here at Stevens Transport, we are profoundly thankful to you, our drivers. We know the sacrifices that you make to ensure that the store shelves are stocked with that turkey and ham and all the fixings, and families have what they need, and you keep life moving forward. So being out there on the road during the holidays isn't easy. We know that. It means missing some of those precious moments and meals with your loved ones. But please know, drivers, the work that you do matters deeply. You are the backbone of this country and the backbone of this company at Stevens Transport, and your commitment does not go unnoticed. So from all of us at Stevens Transport, before we go any further, thank you so much for your dedication, for your hard work, and the countless miles that you cover. We are here for you today and every day, and we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you enjoy this song that exemplifies the life you have while you're out there on the road. We're going to start off this episode with a group called Common Tribe. This is simply Trucker's Song on the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
I've been working like a dog on the end of a chain, pulling 53 feet of American goods in the pouring rain. Grease on my hands, dirt on my boots. I put 11 long hours on a dotted line just to get home to you. Sitting at the red light thinking about my honey. Tried to cross the land just to make a little money. I've been driving late night over town, counting down the miles to home. I wanted to break light, sit tight, baby, when I'm on the road. Till I could count those miles on a single hand. I'll be pushing pedals, honey, that's the plan, so you know. Baby, I'm coming home. Baby, I'm coming home. I know that I can make the run, and I won't be late. My truck has seen 1,000,000 miles running up and down the interstate. And I ain't acted fool over a week. All I want is a kiss from my sugar pie and a good night's sleep. Everybody knows that the road is full of trouble. Shifted into gear just to make it on the
While we
double.
driving late night over town, counting down the miles to home.
Count down the miles to home.
I won't hit the brake light, sit tight, baby, when I'm on the road.
Baby, when I'm on the road,
I can count those miles on a single hand. I'll be pushing pedals, honey, that's the plan, so you know.
baby, I'm coming home. Baby, I'm coming home. All I know is deadlines, brake lights, state lines, brake lights, state lines. Said all I know is the deadlines, brake lights, state lines. Oh, yeah.
I'll be driving late night over time, count down the miles to home.
Count down the miles to home.
I won't hit the brake light, sit tight, baby, when I'm on the road.
Baby, when I'm on the road.
I can count those miles on a single hand. I'll be pushing pedals, honey, that's the plan, so you know.
Baby, I'm coming home. Baby, I'm coming home.
That's Common Tribe with one of our trucking songs for this Thanksgiving episode. The name of that song is Trucker Song. We have another trucking song coming up at the end of the episode that we hope you'll enjoy. But right now, it's time for our Stevens Roundtable. Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. On the yard, interviewing fellow drivers and friends from inside the building. Old friend, Mr. Jim Adams, with us. Good to see you again, buddy.
You too, sir.
And Jim, of course, for those that are new to the podcast or new to Stevens, you've had quite a career with Stevens Transport, out on the road and now on the yard.
A little over 21 years now.
21 years, over 2 decades with this company.
Yep.
So how is the transition for you, Jim? I know we've brought this up in our previous interviews, but we have new listeners, a new audience every single week. How is that transition from the road to inside the building for you?
It's a culture shock with your family, but actually for work.
Because you're home? Why?
Yes. The spouse is not used to you being there every day. They kind of had their own routine for a decade. You know, they didn't have to worry about me that often.
Yeah.
And now you're there every single day. And they're like, okay, go away, go do something. So now it's worked out really well.
Good. And Jim, you are a mentor to every driver on the yard, new drivers or inside the building. But that was your role in your previous position. You're still mentoring the drivers, but you have a new title now over the last 6 months or so.
Yes, safety director.
Safety director.
Yeah, moved from trainer mentor more to everybody. More serious type accidents and serious events instead of just daily events with the trainees and trainers. Still doing safety talks every day with people, trying to prevent them, get them to understand following distance is everything in this business. It'll stop the rear end accident, the run off the road, the rollover, the jackknife, the head-on collision. It'll get rid of all of these if we just have something simple like proper following distance.
We would get rid of all of these. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing, right?
It'd take me out of the job, and I'd be just fine with it.
We'll put you somewhere else. You're too valuable, Jim. But, okay, so let's say one of these, and I think it's safe to say a catastrophic type event takes place. Okay. What's the protocol after something like that? First and foremost, we want to make sure our drivers and everybody involved are okay.
The very first thing we're checking on is everybody okay? And then we're just gathering information, and then we'll do a complete investigation and break it down and go from there.
All right, and that varies depending upon the severity or the type of accident, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So let's say one of these unfortunate, catastrophic, or even minor accidents happen. I can only imagine the nerves a driver must feel to have to come back to Stevens and talk to you or Ken or Kip. Or what should they be nervous?
You should never be nervous coming in to talk to safety.
Right.
What our job is to prevent accidents and then retrain afterwards. The last thing I want to do is fire a driver. Again, I got to rebuild one. I have a working person right in front of me. The hardest thing to do is fix it. It's easy to fire somebody. You can just say bye, no problem solved.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. We got to retrain and figure out what went wrong, what did we do wrong, and how can we have done it better.
Well, to dumb down this example, and forgive how crude and rudimentary this is, but one of my younger sons, when he was learning to drive, within a year and a half, he got into an accident. And I thought he felt kind of cocky behind the wheel, and then all of a sudden he had the accident. Nothing compared to what could happen out there on the road with one of these big trucks. But it changed the way he drove to this day, and that was years ago because it kind of scared him a little bit.
Right.
I imagine a driver could actually become a better driver following an incident like this.
Absolutely, but that's where it's our job to get them to understand before you have the accident to do the things we need to do.
Well, hopefully this interview you're hearing during the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio podcast with Jim Adams, Safety Director, is maybe a bit of a reminder while you're out there in your cab right now to just kind of go back to the fundamentals, go to the basics so we can prevent it, not have to come back to Jim, Kip, or Ken with an accident. Jim, always great to see you. Thanks for coming on, and I hope to have you back on for Season 7 shortly.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Always good to catch up with Jim Adams here on the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio podcast. Hey, I've got a piece of paper here. No, at least it's a copy of an official document from the state of Texas, from the office of the governor, Greg Abbott. You know, if you listen to last week's episode, we did some humble bragging, but, it's time to do it again. I mean, this is one of the coolest things, and I'm really excited to share it with you. You may have seen it on social media already, but the fact that I get to read it to you is such an honor. This, again, from the state of Texas, Office of the Governor, says, "Greetings. As Governor of Texas, I am proud to applaud the Mesquite Championship Rodeo, Stevens Transport, and all who supported the recent livestock feed drive. Texas is known the world over as a place where people are willing to lend a helping hand to a neighbor in need, and this spirit of service is especially evident in times of crisis. When lives and livelihoods are on the line, Texans from all walks of life always rise to the occasion and work around the clock to care for their community. Large portions of North Carolina were devastated by Hurricane Helene, which inflicted tens of billions of dollars in property damage and claimed more than 200 lives. Unwilling to stand idly by and watch their fellow Americans suffer, Texans pooled together their resources and met a pressing need for farmers and ranchers: livestock feed. These efforts, spearheaded by the Mesquite Championship Rodeo and facilitated by Stevens Transport, resulted in a staggering 42,000 pounds of feed delivered to the Tar Heel State. In addition to meeting immediate needs, this drive reminded the people of North Carolina that they are seen, that they are supported, that they are not alone. This drive made a profoundly positive impact on farmers, ranchers, families, and communities, and it showcased the spirit of our state on a nationwide scale. I hope that you feel satisfaction in your efforts, and I am proud to call you fellow Texans, for you represent the very best of the Lone Star State. First Lady Cecilia Abbott joins me in recognizing your philanthropic efforts and exceeding warmest wishes to you and yours. Sincerely, Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas. Thank you, Governor, for your very kind note, and what an honor it was to participate in such a valiant effort. Boy, it makes you proud to be a part of a company that's recognized by the governor, doesn't it? Hey, listen, if you'd like to become a part of this company, if you are someone out there looking for a job, looking to become a truck driver, maybe even becoming a team driver, we've got some more information for you right now.
Ever wondered what it's like to drive across the country and get paid to see America's breathtaking landscapes? Welcome to life as a team driver with Stevens Transport. The life of a trucker can sometimes feel solitary, but with team driving, you're never alone. Let's dive into how teaming up with another driver can transform your trucking career. So what exactly is team driving? Simply put, it's when two drivers share the responsibilities of operating the same truck. This allows for continuous travel and efficient delivery. Federal regulations require solo drivers to be off duty for at least 10 consecutive hours after 11 hours of driving. Team driving, however, maximizes productivity by alternating driving shifts, cutting down on overall trip times. By working in shifts, team drivers can cover over 5,500 miles a week. That's more than double what solo drivers can achieve, leading to more priority loads and higher earnings. Efficiency is key. With 2 drivers, tasks like loading and unloading become quicker and easier. Plus, you'll earn more per mile. One of the greatest perks? You get to choose your driving partner, whether it's a close friend or a new acquaintance. Having a partner on the road makes those long hauls more enjoyable. And what about rest? Team drivers sleep in comfy bunk beds while the truck is moving, allowing for nearly non-stop travel without sacrificing sleep. Safety is another major advantage. With 2 drivers, there's an added layer of oversight to ensure committed safety. So, if you're ready to take your trucking career to the next level, consider team driving with Stevens Transport. It's the perfect blend of companionship, efficiency, and increased earnings. Explore the benefits of team driving and start your adventure today with Stevens Transport. Apply now and join a team that drives you to success.
This is Angela Horwitz, and I just wanted to let everyone know that the grass isn't always greener. Be careful about what you hear. If you can water the grass in your own backyard, you can only imagine how successful that you can be. I often find that people are always looking for the cup half empty versus half full. And you should really stop and think about what's great today. So I appreciate everybody doing all the hard work that they do. And we will continue to do our part and water the grass here to make it as green as possible for all of you. At Stevens Transport, our drivers are some of the highest compensated drivers in the industry. When you compare our package to anyone else, I'm sure you'll see that this is the right place to be. We have never had a layoff in the history of our company, and all of our drivers are an extended member of our family. At Stevens Transport, it pays to stay.
Welcome back to the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. My name is Tim Cicciarelli, otherwise known as Trucker Tim, and thanks so much for letting me sit shotgun with you today. Hey, listen, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, download, or follow this podcast from whichever podcast platform you're enjoying it from. We are everywhere. This podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, Amazon Music, you name it. If it's a podcast platform, the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast is there. Please hit that follow, subscribe, and download button. It will help us to continue to bring you all the information you need to know what's going on at Stevens Transport. And for those of you who might be looking for a new career in transportation, and we hope this podcast will help you become familiar with the culture at Stevens, because we would love to have you become a part of our team. Well, someone we're very proud to have as a part of our team is somebody who just completed their lease. A gentleman who's about to share his journey of becoming a truck driver with Stevens Transport, highlighting the independence and business knowledge he's gained along the way. This driver gives other drivers advice on saving money, making smart choices, and staying safe while out there on the road. This is the story of driver Jonathan Martinez.
My name's Jonathan Martinez. Started April 2023. Went contractor a few months after that. That's when I started. I would have to say the independence, of course. I also want to learn how to run my own business, so, for the future. So I think it was the best choice. I got my CDL here, and I don't think I could have got it any place better. They're like the ultimate school for getting your CDL. The fact that they're very interactive with you, they're very hands-on. They go that extra mile to make sure that you know what you're doing before you hit the road. The best parts of being a trainer, just giving back and, knowing that I'm helping someone else, because I've always loved to give. I'm a giver. I don't know, it just brings joy to my heart to help and see somebody accomplish, something that I've wanted to accomplish, and just see their smile and the fact that they're happy. Save your money, and make smart choices and be safe. be safe out there on the road, and just want to say thank you guys. Thank Stevens. I'm ready to pay this truck off and get me a new truck, and I'm ready to start my whole fleet here with Stevens and see what we can do.
Thank you, independent contractor driver Jonathan Martinez, for sharing your story with us. That is audio you can find from a video that is on our Stevens Transport YouTube channel. We'll have a link to that video in the episode notes. Well, it is Thanksgiving week. As we said at the top of the show, we cannot thank you, our drivers, enough for the sacrifices you make, not just for Stevens Transport, but for our country, making sure those shelves are stocked. As they say, if you bought it, a trucker brought it. And a lot of truckers, a lot of our drivers are out there on the road this week missing their family, their friends, their Thanksgiving meal, football, whatever people like to do on Thanksgiving. They're out there working for us. So we're going to close out the show today with a song we actually played, a couple of months ago during Driver Appreciation Week, and I couldn't think of a better song to end the show with than this one, to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This is God Made a Trucker on the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
On the 8th day, God looked down at his creation after making a caretaker and said, I need a relocation specialist. So God made a trucker. God said, I need someone to rise and to sleep at odd hours, check their truck before and after their run to ensure safety for themselves and those around them. Be on time to deliver their freight, but willing to be late to help a fellow driver who broke down in the cold of winter. So God made a trucker. I need someone strong enough to throw chains and tarps, ratchet binders, lock and load bars, change tires, and drive away from home, but soft enough to kiss their loved one, look into their eyes and say, see you when I get back home. Someone who, after securing their load, wiping the sweat from their brow, seeing another driver struggling with theirs, willing to walk over and offer a hand. So God made a trucker. God said, I need someone who will look into their side mirror at their child waving goodbye with a smile, then a sigh, and wipe a tear from their eye, knowing they're doing what they love ultimately for those that they love. Someone to transport livestock with genuine care for their safety. Someone who will offer assistance at the scene of an accident. Call 911 or donate to a cause. So God made a trucker. God needed someone willing to get dirty, covered in oil and grease, bumps and bruises along the way, missing time with family because the repair took longer than expected, or the receiver wouldn't take the load, but would take time to stop what they're doing when they heard a little voice behind them say, can we go outside to play? So God made a trucker. God said, I need someone who can run as a team or by themselves, can pull any trailer with a manual transmission semi, someone to maneuver a dump truck, cement truck, tow truck, or everything in between. Someone who will drive safely, whether on a goat trail, winding two-lane, gravel driveway, or the interstate. Someone who will drive through a snowstorm, high winds, or a heavy rain to arrive at their destination. Someone with patience to deal with motorists around them, steady hands to shift and to steer, and the heart when there's a crisis to donate their time, their truck, their money, and their fuel to assist strangers who have experienced unfathomable loss and tragedy, to assist in slowly piecing their lives back together again. So God made a trucker.
I found that song on the YouTube channel Big Rig Videos. That, of course, is God Made a Trucker. Couldn't think of a better song to wrap up our Thanksgiving episode. For all the songs you hear on the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast, we'll provide links to those songs for YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts in the episode notes. Well, there she is, episode 123 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. Please remember to follow, subscribe, like, download, and share this podcast from whichever podcast platform you're enjoying it from, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Audible, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. We are everywhere, and we would certainly appreciate it if you were to share this with someone else inside the industry so they too can learn about how awesome it is to work at Stevens Transport. My name is Tim Cicciarelli, otherwise known as Trucker Tim, and until next time, please be safe out there, and thank you so much for listening to the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.